Welcome to the Six Picks podcast. I'm Digit Murphy, your host, coming to you live, not really live, not live, from Toronto. I'm here going to tell you stories about the Toronto Six, its players, adventures in the community. That's what we do here with the Six. And the Six Picks here is just about hockey. It's about hockey. It's about life. It's about telling stories. So I'm here with the magically, wonderfully talented Shiann Darkangelo, who has played for me for several years in several events. And I am so happy to have her. Shy Darkangelo, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Digit. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, you are. You know, every time you go on an adventure with Digit Murphy, whether it's China, the Aurora Games, there's something crazy happening, eh?
Yeah, that's the truth, to say the least.
Talk a little bit about, how this whole thing happened and how we all connected. I think people will be fascinated by our stories.
Yeah, well, I mean, like you said, I feel like it all stemmed from playing together or playing for you in China, then the Aurora Games. It's like when I think I'm done, I don't know, we circle back around and I end up playing for you again. So I feel like the same sort of thing happened here in Toronto, and it's been awesome. It's been an awesome experience per usual, just like the other two. So I'm excited to see what happens going into Lake Placid.
Yeah, talk about just like playing for the NW, because we had that whole craziness with the PW. I think that kind of attracted us to each other's conversations about the dialogue we would have about working together in hockey, and how you were part of the PW, now you're with the NW. Talk about like that whole experience and how it happened.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I played for the NW previously, and then going to China obviously switched me over to the CWHL. And then coming back from that, when the league folded, I was still in Canada and just figured, hey, what's this new thing with the PWHPA? So kind of jumped right into that. After being a part of that, and then seeing some of the movement and who were involved with the NWHL, I kind of got interested more in that. Spoke with you about it. I mean, I think at the end of the day, we're all trying to do the right thing to move women's hockey forward. But, this is where I see personally the best fit for that, to be able to like take action and do something to help move the needle forward. So that's kind of how I ended up here.
Yeah, we talk a lot about inclusion and empowerment and education as the platform that we have, and I think that fits in well with the Toronto Six. And you know, you're you're a gem, because you continue to go with the opportunities and go to where the game calls you and calls upon you. You have your own business. You work full time. You play hockey. Talk about that whole experience and what it means to you to continue to play, right? After being out of the college for so many years, playing for Team USA. Like, talk about your whole path and how that all happened, and what you think about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been an interesting ride, that's for sure. After college, you don't really think about working and playing and how you're going to do that professionally and things like that. Luckily for me, obviously, I got to be a part of the national team for quite a bit of time. So I was being funded by that and didn't really have to have a full time job per se. I was doing like coaching and other events and things that would pop up, but you're at least, you know, having a somewhat of a salary that you can live off of and train and be comfortable, I guess. But then after China, that's when I was like, oh, geez, what am I going to do? Because I wasn't in the national program. So no funding from there. And obviously playing in the NWHL or CWHL, like PWHPA, there's not, well, in certain leagues, there's no money. And obviously in the NWHL, we have more, and we're continuing to grow to create more opportunities like that. So, you know, now having a job, I'm totally on the other side. I kind of see what, when I came out of college, some of my teammates had to go through. Like now I'm living it, having a full time job, having to go to practice at night, being on the other side, it's kind of crazy because when I was young, right out of college, and some of these older girls that I'm like, why are they still doing this? Honestly, were my thoughts. And now I'm like, whoa, well, why wouldn't I keep doing it if I like if it works with what I'm doing? I love it still, and like why not? So it's kind of cool. It's like goes full circle, I guess, to see the other side of it.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point, right? Why not? And um, I look at players because I've been coaching women for a long time, and I feel like you don't even hit your prime until your late 20s. Like how your brain thinks, like how your body, like you're in fantastic shape, Shy. Seriously, like since I met you until now, I feel like you've just gotten better and better, right, as an athlete. So talk a little bit about your evolution from college to now where you are at right now.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that like 100%. I think girls don't really develop or hit their prime until they're, say, 25 to 27, which is crazy because how many, I mean, it's changing and we're obviously trying to change that, but like how many girls stop playing before that? And yeah, for me personally, like who I was in college to who I am now is totally different. Just like, yeah, I've always been committed and like dedicated to working out and doing the little things and stuff like that. But I just think as you mature, you go through different life situations, getting cut from the Olympic team, going to China, having a full time job. Like they do, these things shape you into who you are. And I think help you out as an athlete also. Because, yeah, you're smarter on the ice, you're doing things, you know that, I mean, I don't know, when I was in college, I probably thought, hey, I got to do all these extra workouts to make myself better. Where it's like, no, you actually got to be smarter, like work smarter, not harder. That's you kind of learn those things, but you need the time. I don't think you can teach somebody at that age. You got to go through your own journey.
And your mental game, right? Like talk about that too. Like you say you work smarter, but you also think the game differently as you get older, don't you think?
Yeah, I do. Definitely. I mean, it's more, you're just more experienced. I don't know. Like professional hockey is so different than college hockey. I mean, even you've taught me that, like in the sense of how you treat your athletes when you were coaching us compared to even the national team or the NWHL, like different things like that. So I think it's just different coaches and mentors that you come across, like help shape that and get you to think the game better and give different perspectives.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun for me watching you grow and develop into a leader and also to kind of watch your whole plant-based journey, right? Because when we were over in China, like you were a vegetarian, I was like a fake vegan, for whatever reason and we were the only two that were eating just the veggies, right? It's like, okay, Digit and Shy. Remember Sunny would be like, wedgies, wedgies.
Yeah.
She call them wedgies. I love that. I just love that. But and now you're like a completely plant-based, you total vegan or a little vegan. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, plant-based, I like to say more so than vegan because it's not really, like moral or ethical reasons why. It's just like over the years I've switched because of just honestly how I felt when I was eating pregame meals in college my freshman year. Like something silly like that kind of grew. And then one of my mom's close friends, she's a plant-based nutritionist. So she sort of, I don't know, honestly, it's kind of weird. I just like one day kind of flipped the switch in the sense of like cut out meat. I was still eating fish. And then like I just progressed because it was something that interests me and I wanted to learn more about it. And then actually when we were in China, like I got certified in it and took a course through Cornell University online. So it was
Of course you did. Just something you
yeah.
did, right? This is the kind of kids we have on the Toronto Six. They're unbelievable. Took a course online. Like you're insanely talented. So yeah, so you like that.
Yeah, so I mean, and it's awesome. Even when I was in China, like Emily Janiga, Emma Woods, like there's a handful of girls. Like everybody was interested. I got girls reading plant-based books. I mean, they were partial. I mean, they partially did it though, also because they were freaked out of like the chicken feet and random, random meat we saw. But yeah, some of them still don't eat meat, so it's kind of cool to see like how you impact others and stuff.
So so they say like if you're a vegan or you're plant-based, it's are you more about like sustainability besides for the way you feel, or does that factor into it, like sustaining the
Yeah,
planet?
sure. I mean, I definitely think it's the more I learn, the more I do believe in that, I guess. I never really thought about it until I took the course and have like do more research reading because then you realize how much you do impact the planet throughout your day and how much you probably could not do to help, like
Well,
there's
it's kind of an economic puzzle, right? Because you
yeah.
eat meat and the whole planet is kind of meat based, or a lot of the planet. And when you're feeding the animals with the plants instead of feeding the humans, there's a whole different layer of processing that goes on. And because I mean, I like to talk about this because I'm plant based as well. And as we like share like meals, hey Shy, look what I'm having tonight, taking the pictures of the food. But it's really about that processing of animals versus the food for animals versus food for humans. That's what kind of got me interested into it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that definitely is. The more, again, like I said, you just realize how much is involved. But even for me, it's just like the health of everybody in North America, honestly, how sad it is, or how, young kids are marketed certain things like cereals and this and that, or like yeah, even if you're, in North America compared to like Europe or like the different standards of food, it's scary almost like what's not in it, like even something this is kind of dumb, but something like ketchup, for example, in the United States, Heinz ketchup has oh geez, what was in it now? High fructose corn syrup, and in Canada it doesn't.
Really?
So it's like,
What does it
yeah,
have in it
that's
in Canada? Nothing, or
well, I mean,
it's a
there's
different.
probably still some sort of sweetener or whatever, but that's just a main ingredient that's not good for you. I think a lot of people can
Yeah, they don't even.
understand that. That's on a. It's just interesting though, stuff like that. Not even there's worse things than that, obviously, but
But I think it comes back to the point of education, right? What the Toronto Six is about, right? We're about educating people. Like just these kind of conversations, I think they're important because it's so funny to me how impactful like food is on your life and people aren't educated about it. And I think that being an athlete and being in touch with your body makes you use food for fuel. So it all kind of it fits together, right? Because now
oh
you're
yeah.
plant-based, maybe little girls will be like, and it's not that you don't want to. This is what I always get crazy about, right? People are like, oh, you have to eat meat when you're an athlete, it's the protein and all that, right? And we're like, yeah. Talk about the protein and how you get your protein as a plant-based person.
Yeah, well, I do think that's changing and has changed, right, with all these documentaries and different things that have brought shed light on plant-based. But when you think about protein and stuff, it's kind of silly because, like you said earlier, like animals are just they're the middleman. Like we eat the middleman, right? Like they're eating the plants. How do you think they get protein and things for them
Right.
through the plants? So I mean, it's just kind of crazy. So yeah, if we eat the plant directly, it's like synthesized differently than you eating obviously the animal and then the protein going. But have you, I mean, in North America, it's not really, I'm sure you've never met somebody that's protein deficient.
Right. Right.
So it's kind of like, it's just silly when you think about that, I guess.
It's all though, and not to get like so crazy, but isn't it all kind of like the way you're pushed? Okay, let's transition this because this I think is a good segue. Okay,
Okay.
so you're kind of taught that, right? In schools, you're taught that in the system that this is how you eat meat. It's the four squares or whatever, three square meals and the four like
Yeah, yeah.
food groups, right?
Pyramid, different thing. Yep.
So that's what people tell you. And it's kind of like with women's sports, right? They kind of tell you that this is where you are as women's sports, right? Because men's sports has been around for 125 years. This is how we consume men's sports. This is how we play sports. And I think we have an opportunity with the Toronto Six to do it a little differently. Would you say? Is it a similar kind of situation?
Yeah, I definitely would say that, to be honest. And what does it come back? It stems from the money. Like whether you're talking about, right, like the meat or the decision makers there to the same thing if you talk about sports.
Yeah. And the decision makers are kind of, whether it's television, whether it's the media, whether it's social media that says this is how you do women's sports. We're all impacted and influenced by that. So, I think it's an important conversation to have that we say, yeah, they're doing it great. The way guys do it, the way football, basketball, baseball, hockey have done it. But is there an opportunity to do it a little bit differently? And I think we're doing that with the bubble, right? It's kind of cool.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's going to be the first time doing something like that, and it's honestly sweet. I've told a handful of people about it. I mean, obviously family, but outside, and people are nothing but excited and pumped and like, oh my gosh, where can we watch and this and that. So I honestly think it's going to be awesome timing too because there's not really sports on right now. So it's awesome for women's hockey, women's sports.
Exactly. So tell me about the whole, you know, T6 ownership. You know, you get to be on those Zoom calls. Like, what do you think about the Toronto Six and you know what they mean right now, not only in the market of Toronto but for women's hockey?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's awesome. I'm super grateful to be a part of it, obviously. Um, it's very exciting. I mean, with everything going on, COVID, and the different sort of things we've had to adapt to with having different play, like, certain amount of players on the ice compared to like our US counterparts. I think our owners have stepped up in any way, and honestly, being on the Zoom calls with them, it's always super professional, and they're there to help us with whatever we need. I mean, just on the last one, JoJo was like, "Tell us what you need, ask us questions. Like we're here. That's what we want to do is give you the most, professional setting to do your job." And I think it's also really awesome that they see we most of us do have full-time jobs and are doing this, and they're really just awesome. I can't really say anything else about them, but it's been great.
Yeah, and it's funny, you know, talking about the bubble and going to Lake Placid. Um, we haven't ever we had one practice and no one has been there. Like we got to talk to the people about how we're practicing, right?
Oh
How
gosh,
crazy is it?
yeah, it's nuts. Well, once again, another season with Digit Murphy because
Like seriously, you can't make this up.
not at all. Well, I forget the saying that we said in China. Like, I forget what it was. It's just
Oh,
about the random stuff that would pop up.
we'd be like,
If you think it's right, it's wrong. I forget, or something like something that we used to always say because honestly, every day was a new day. And that's the same thing here, but it's fun because we have a good group of girls, great owners. Like, it makes it fun to be a part of.
I know. Like, okay, this is what I keep telling everyone. This is the new verbiage that we're gonna say. If we win the Isabel Cup, or when we win the Isabel Cup, it's going to be the true miracle, Miracle 2.0 in Lake Placid, and the Canadian version is the Canadians win, right? Because it's, I mean, seriously, we practice 10 total people on the ice, right?
Yeah.
One
Oh, yeah.
coach. If we have two coaches, we can only have 8 players. If we have one coach, then we can have 9 players, and one is a goalie. So we
Yeah.
literally have a goalie and 8 players and a coach.
And up until what was it last weekend or whenever we had our first actual full practice, like you felt like you only met half of your team because you had to skate in groups. We're getting dressed outside the like rink, around the rink, so you're whatever 6 feet apart, that sort of stuff. So it's just been crazy, but everybody's been honestly adapting well, and like we've made the most of it. So
You turn a negative into a positive, right? We'll just, you know, we'll
yeah.
be in the locker room going, and you know, we didn't even practice. And look at we're winning. Imagine if we practiced, you know?
First speech for our first game.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you know, there'll be some crazy stuff coming out of the woodwork. We don't really know
Oh
what
yeah, we
to
know.
say. We just get there and we say it.
Oh gosh.
Do you have any favorite China moments? Some people are always asking me, like, tell us China story. I'm like, all right, I'll tell a China story.
Probably like honestly, nah, there's so many that it's hard to find one. But something that just came to mind was like our first game because we were talking about that. And I forget the person you brought into the locker room. It was like
The general.
some, yeah, the general. That's what it was. And we're like, what the? Like, she's kidding. Like, this isn't happening. Sure enough, comes in locker room, like photographers, all these people. Nobody's speaking English, so we don't even really know what's going on. I think we all had to stand up behind him, take a
Yep.
photo.
Photo op pre-game in the locker room in China. I'm like,
Oh
just
my
go with
gosh.
it. Just roll with
And,
it.
and at that point, we had no idea what to expect. Like, everyone's sitting there, like, what's going on? Because they didn't know hockey. And oh gosh.
We set the bar, right? Like honestly, like it's a little bit of a method to my madness. Like the most outrageous thing that can happen, then everything after that is just a party. So, anyways,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
fun.
Because outrageous things happened every day. So,
But you know, and it's funny when I first got the job, people are like, "How are you gonna adapt? You're going up to Toronto with your team." I'm like, "Wait, what? Like, I was in China. They're like, oh yeah, just forgot. I'm like, this we
Yeah,
speak the
that's
same.
that's what I was gonna say. I thought you were just gonna say, how are you gonna adapt when you go to China? I'm like, Toronto, that's
They
nothing
asked
compared to what
me
we went through.
exactly what we went through in China. Oh God. But it was
I
so
have on.
fun. I
Oh
would
yeah,
never, ever, ever give that experience back.
no, I would do it again. Like that was like that year. That was yeah, that was the best, honestly. Not even because the hockey,
Yeah.
just one of a just a great life experience, I think, for everybody.
Yeah, it was. But, and I think that this now, when you talked about it earlier, the Chinese experience kind of sets you up for this to expect things, but roll with it. Like, I think a lot of times people get so uptight about, sports and how they're supposed to happen instead of just letting them happen, right? And I think
Yeah,
that as you kind of adapt those attitudes of being adaptable, I think, which is a really good life skill to have. And I think that's what sports teaches you. That's what hockey teaches you. Think about how many times you have to adapt to the puck being in a different spot.
yeah,
I always say
exactly.
life's is a hockey game.
That's true. That's true. And if you're not okay with change or you can't adapt, then you're going to run into issues, right? Because you have to be. Like everything's constantly changing. And
And I think that that's good lessons for kids to learn, right? About adaptability and flexibility in life, because it's the only way you keep moving forward. When you get knocked down, you get up. I mean, this is all what the Toronto Six stands for. And I think you're familiar with how we picked the team too. Like it was not about the hockey, right? It was about how you guys were going to be based on the mission. So the founding five, you want to talk about those founding five people that we built the team around a little bit? You,
yeah,
Greco.
well, yeah, I mean, I just think in general, it's just people who like sometimes it's hard to go right away from the crowd, right? I guess I shouldn't say sometimes, it always is, It's easier to follow than to be a leader, and that's why there's less of one, right, than the other. But I think I don't know, for every all the founding five, I guess, yeah, it was just awesome to see people who maybe you didn't know had it in them, or you did, but you didn't know if it would come out, for them to like make a stand and kind of believe in themselves to change, to do something different and go against the grain, so to speak, what people would say. Um, and I think they would all say it's paid off, honestly. So that's what's really cool to see too. Um, yeah, it's been worth it, and I'm happy that we all did together. It was kind of a cool way to do it too and announce the team. So
Yeah.
I think Miles liked it too.
Oh yeah, he liked it. It was funny because for those the people don't know what we're talking about with like the founding five or anything, was initially when we first started to put the teams together, there was massive PWHPA, NWHL, like I don't know, border wars. I don't even know. Like it was to me, it's always been way too much, drama, if you will, right? So there was a lot of questions around whether people should play for the NWHL. And, you, Greco, Chuli, Taylor Woods, and Barb's,
Barbs.
these guys were like, we just want to play hockey. So that's what when we were alluding to the founding five, we built the team around those five individuals. So the way that we talked about it. And then once you do that, you get the right people on the bus. So I feel really fortunate, Shy, that I was able to come in and start the whole, get everyone together all at once, recruit the whole team together, because I think that's going to be pretty special. And after this team, no one's going to be able to have a Toronto 16 like this, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely not. And I mean, even for all of us, the founding five, we all just want women's hockey to be better than when we left it, right? So even though we want to play, we want to do what we can to help the next generation. Like, I mean, we also want nothing more than for women's hockey players to be paid enough so you can just do this, right? I think that's everyone's goal who's in women's hockey. So the more we can do that together, the I think faster we'll grow.
Yeah, I agree. And that's why when I talked about the drama part of it, it's like kind of whatever, right? Because you all want the same things,
Exactly.
and just because other people don't see the picture the same way doesn't mean it's wrong. It doesn't mean we're wrong.
Exactly.
We're just, hopefully we get to the same place
Yep.
quicker. All right. Well, anything else you want to, before we get off, anything you want to talk about before, we say sayonara?
No, besides follow us on our journey in Lake Placid, and hopefully we'll get some more Insta lives from Digit Murphy so you can get some updates, see what's going on with everybody, some testing and games and
So
Probably a lot of snow in Lake Placid.
yeah, so how do people follow you, Shine, on your plant-based?
Um, yeah, well, I have my website, Instagram, Plant Based Performance is what it is. So you can find my stuff there. You can find it on my Instagram at Shy Dark,
Shy Dark.
Twitter. Yeah, you can find it. It's all linked up there. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me.
Yeah, get involved with Shy Dark, because she knows her stuff and she's a great leader, hero, role model, and she's doing marvelous things. And I can't wait to pass the torch to you someday. Like when I can leave this game, I'm like, Shy, take it. Will you take it? She's like, I'm here, I'm here. All right. Well, that's it. This is Digit Murphy for this week's Six Fix podcast. I am Digit Murphy for Shy Darkangelo. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.